Hey everybody, I'm back for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 10, Episode 1, NDAs and DNAs. If you're watching this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Now, I know I told you I wasn't going to be reviewing this no more, but I got caught hold of the trailer, and I said, we got to at least see what happens after Mel leaves, okay? Now, I just want to say this. I miss y'all. My Love and Marriage Huntsville crew. I really do miss y'all. All right. Anyway. Okay, so we're back. Like I said, I know I said I wasn't going to review this without Mel, but my interest in how this season turns out without Mel on it, and if they can keep Mel's name out of their mouth, really got the best of me. I had to find out. Now, is Mel still a producer on this? And if she is, she probably is still getting checks, despite the fact she's not a cast member. Also because we didn't see Martell's slow-ass side chick on the trailer as even a friend of the show. It made me think maybe she still has some executive control, because Carlos King strikes me as the kind of person that tries to pull rabbits out the hat so he can keep his ratings up. Okay? Now, speaking of his retarded side chick, okay? And I know we're not supposed to say that word no more, but the bottom line is we're not talking about people with mental challenges. I'm not, at least. I'm talking about people who are dumb, okay, and do dumb, slow shit. All right, so I was scrolling on TikTok like I do, okay, and then I went and checked Instagram to make sure this wasn't just no picture popping up out of nowhere. I do not follow her, okay, his side chick. But she had that pic where her and Martell said, with the caption that said, my man and I. First of all, I'm sorry. I was sitting up here like, she is so dumb. She is so dumb. First of all, it's my man and me. When you're doing, I knew she was trying to act like she had correct grammar because she finally got a picture with him in a way, you know, where she felt like she had some clout or whatever. And it clearly dropped just in time for this show. It's lame. Number two, I thought to myself, Martell is okay with this, probably to piss Mel off, which I'm sure all of us thought, unless you're a side chick like Ariane, to get her attention, Mel's attention. But I just don't know what the hell she expects. He's never going to marry her. Never. Never. And I'm willing to say that. Okay, it doesn't ever really work out that way. Okay, and the exceptions, when it does, when somebody goes and marries the woman they were messing around with, which is rare, okay, they always end up with disastrous lives, the two individuals, and their children's lives. Why is security so loud? Anyway, and their children's lives end up disastrous. Because first of all, when you find out you came into the world that way, and then not simply that it's kind of a family secret or kind of unspoken, you have been all over social media. You have participated even tangentially to a very, very, very popular show, and the antithesis to one of the crowd favorites for 9 seasons. He missed me, all right? If he wanted to claim you, he has had years to do it. When he did talk about you publicly, it was really public, so it would get back to Mel and get under her skin to embarrass and hurt her in a way to punish her for leaving him in the first place. You weren't his only side chick. You were the one dumb enough to come out in public while not being his wife, and then trying to do what Mel does and calling him Martell Holt the way she called him Martell Holt, all the little stuff. And I know how jealous chicks do. So I know what I'm looking at. Okay, anyway. And you were willing to embarrass yourself publicly. At least the other ones knew to stay in private. And I mean, you know, he would have married you by now, especially when he kept saying, I'm going to be married in a year. And I guess he thought he was going to get Mel back, or maybe shame her into trying to hurry up and come back to him before he married Sheree. He is so stupid. Both of y'all are dumb as hell. And all this other stuff. And people who say stuff like, oh, she was young when she was messing around with Martell and she got caught up. Granted, we have all lived, we have all made mistakes, and as long as we live in, we're gonna make some more. But there was never a time in my life when I was taught, nor a point when I thought it was okay to mess around with a married man, period. Okay? The only additional thing I learned as I got older, even though this wasn't necessarily the way it was presented to me, it was always, never do that. And you shouldn't. It's immoral. The things that I picked up on as I got older was that those men are nothing to want. Married men who disrespect their wives and tell you about the fact that they have a wife already implies how little they think of you. Because see, their wife doesn't really know about you. They may feel it, but a lot of times they don't even know about you. Okay? They wreak havoc on women's lives and will never, ever favor you, even after a divorce of their wife or their ex-wife. And they tend to display narcissistic tendencies, which means they're going to blame you for the dissolution of their marriage, not themselves. She's retarded, okay? And she's still doing things to get Mel's attention because she really wants to be Mel, okay? And we know weak, peen-having Martell was triangulating them. And that's my bit on that. Look, if you're going to post a picture, baby girl, of your man, you should be able to tag him and he should have that picture on his page. Not just a tag and then he makes it invisible. Now, I don't follow either one of them because I refuse. When I figured out she had 78,000 followers, I wanted to slap everybody following her, okay? And I know some people do it for entertainment, but I refuse to get that kind of chick, that energy. I don't follow Martell, Tisha, none of them. Their profiles are public. That's how I know this, okay? And I went and looked at his. He don't have that picture of y'all up there. He even has tagged pictures on his social, on his Instagram, of him and Mel from the first season. He didn't delete those. Girl, please. All right. And you ought to have been able to pin some comment from him on Instagram. And maybe you should get a picture where he's actually showing his teeth smiling. Anyway, the intro for season 10, this dumbass intro needs to go, but we know that's exactly why they'll keep it because we don't like it. Destiny. Destiny is such a perpetual read. Destiny, your need to be different just in the intro with that ghetto glue and go jewel dress on was a no-no. Okay, I feel like I'm always telling you this, okay? And whose idea was it for y'all to throw that clearance rack party confetti in the air at the end? Y'all would have been better just doing some animated stuff. Like, I mean, like, actual, like, animation. Like, I can't. Okay, so we get Marsau and Tisha's tired ass. When I saw the outside of that home, I said, if we got to look at another scene of them pretending to build a house that never gets done, I'm done. Okay? Instead, we get them in another rented house because Scott Manor, which is not real. But anyway, Marsau and Tisha want to let us know they are the longest first time around marriage in the Scott family at 19 years. I am not advocating for people to stay in marriages that are unhealthy. I am not advocating for people just to stay together for perception's sake. And honestly, good for them. Okay, good for them. But it sounds like the Scott family is not good at marriage. I'm sorry, you mean to tell me all them damn people in that family, nobody made it past 19 years of marriage? I'm just saying. My grandparents married a very long time. Both sides. Okay? But I'm just saying, it's kind of like to not have anybody past 19 years. I don't know, especially down south and with a family like that. That just seems odd to me. That seems like y'all, especially with those backward ass ideas they have about women, you would think they would just find women that just stick with it. Y'all are some hard to live with people. Moving on, MJ, their son, has the same kind of sarcastic personality that his father has, and you can tell. And it's not a dig, it's just an observation. Anyway, I said that to say he like kind of gets off on just pushing it. Anyway, so Tisha being married to Marsau and Marsau being married to Tisha for the sake of not getting divorced, not participating in what you may perceive as a generational curse. Although I don't believe in generational curses, I think that's the wrong terminology. It's learned behavior, and it reappears because you tend to be attracted to what's familiar without the necessary psychoanalytic therapy and undoing of those things. Anyway, but it's not a flex for me. That's what I was getting at. Quite frankly, because I feel like Tisha is so empty in personality. Like she's just so basic. And what she does have is a husband, and everything revolves around that. She's just basic, basic. Now, what I will give you, Tisha, is that you look like your own daughter. Okay, you and your son look like y'all could be brother and sister. Not because you act young like his sister, but literally, if I looked at y'all, you have not aged. And quite frankly, your confessional look, A1. Okay, now that's what I'll give you. Now that's probably where it's gonna stop. But nevertheless, so Wanda shows up. I said, is she allowed back on the show? Because Wanda, and I was willing just to kind of go with it for a second, but you got on my nerves about 25 seconds into it. So she shows up to their rented house while Scott Manor is going to be built. Apparently, MJ will be through graduating college. If he gets his master's, he'll be able to get one of those. He'll be able to get an MD, finish his residential training, and his father still won't be done with their family house. But anyway, nevertheless, I will say one of the things I noticed, they were some real Black middle class parents by asking their son to take off that wave cap around the table, and I'm gonna need him to pull it off a little bit more quickly. Anyway, so she showed up to their house. Why did only one grandkid walk up and hug their grandmother? When I saw my nan and papa, that's my maternal grandparent side, you know, my favorite grandparent. God rest their soul. I always ran up to, I don't care how old I was. So were you invited? Like, do the kids know, like, you just disrespect their father and they just not rocking with it? Especially the oldest boys who's graduating. Are you allowed to come around? I was confused. I was trying to pick up on the kids, but I couldn't because they were looking like, them other two were looking like, here we go. Anyway, so she came right in, telling Marsau that he was acting like Martell. When I said, first of all, them words alone was like declaring war. Okay? I don't care what I think about Marsau. You know what button you pushing when you say that. Okay? Because Martell's reputation is trash, and it's trash because he's made it trash actively. Okay? So she was already on my nerves. Wanda is the reason, also, while I'm on it, why old people should not have found social media. Okay, I know we're in too deep at this point, but still. They took over Facebook. I don't even have Facebook no more. I deleted that years ago. Okay, like it may be almost like 8 years ago at this point. They believe a lot of what they see on social media. They take things way too seriously. And Wanda is backwoods country ignorant on top of being old and on social media, okay? Anyway, how do you let your mother, Tisha, and this is why I can't stand you, because you are just such a weak bitch. I can't stand it. Oh my gosh. And then when you try to, like, you know, boast up, it's like, it's not real to me. That's what I don't like. You let your mother walk into your house and immediately interrogate your husband about an accusation that Martell made about him being with another woman. Martell has lied on himself. He has lied to and on his ex-wife, the mother of 4 of his 5 children. He has lied about his ex-wife, even when they were married. He has lied on his kids, how many he had, right? He has lied to the judge. Okay, that is not the person to take any accusation from seriously. Whether you think it's possible Marcel did it or not, I would not have used that as my source of reference. Anyway, Tisha, you need to check your mother. And not just from the confessional. Me and Marcel have an understanding, this, that, and the other. Yeah, but he's always fighting these battles on his own. This is one of those times where woman to woman, you can check your mother. Period. Anyway, Marcel is exhausted with Wanda. Like, you can tell he just does not want to give it. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the way she comes at him, that's one of them times I would completely understand if he just lost it. He's like me. I said what I said. I'm not going back and forth with anybody. I don't have to explain it to you. That's just my personality. Anyway, Maurice and Kimmy. Here we go with the bullshit. Monster is applying to college. I will say he looks less depressed than I felt like he looked last season when we saw him just, maybe once or twice. They're giving him advice about college. What annoys me is Maurice walked into the room. Kimmy's working with him. He wants to go to Ole Miss. Probably more than likely for sports. I wouldn't send my black child to Ole Miss, but nevertheless. And Troy, whatever. He's, looking up colleges. He has a list of where to go. And I'm going to tell you what I've noticed about Maurice that has really just stuck in my craw for the past 2 seasons now. I mean, really stuck in my craw. Instead of saying good or what programs or majors are you like, asking him questions, Kimmy, his stepmother, bonus mom, whatever you want to call it, is working with him. He walks into the room. Maurice immediately starts lecturing his son. That I personally, after watching now, going into the 10th season, have never seen him behave disrespectfully on TV. You can only hide that stuff for so long. Never seen him, mistreat Kimmy to her face or do a whole lot of talking back and all this other old shit. And he immediately starts lecturing his son. I've seen him lecture his wife, Mel, Martell, anybody except linebacker Kiowa, okay? And he's always deflecting from how he screwed up as a person by trying to tell other people what they should be doing. That shit is obnoxious. I actually think he may be a worse person than Marsau in many respects. Okay? Because even Marsau, has his, like, he fucks with people, but he still has, like, his limits. Anyway, he starts asking Monster about his DUI case. He's asking his son about his DUI case and what he knew about it. And he was like, well, how did you know? How did you find out? And I was thinking to myself, maybe because he was on a TV show and all over the internet, and he also has appeared on this very TV show, and he lives in a very small town. And he was like, well, my friends told me about it, and they were mostly cracking jokes. And Maurice is in his feelings and goes, were they cracking jokes when it was dismissed? First of all, your son shouldn't have to deal with that. He shouldn't. He shouldn't have to go to school and deal with those kind of jokes. Because here you are showing us you got through law school, albeit at an unaccredited institution. Nevertheless, you got through law school. You're always giving these speeches, and your son has to now deal with your poor behavior. Okay? First of all, that's humiliating for a child. If anything, it should be the other way around. Your son is young. He makes some mistakes, whatever. He's still young, okay? You're his father. You always have to take up for your family. If you're raised right, I think. Okay? So your immediate instinct is to, of course, defend your family, so on and so forth. And that's a lot of work. But this DUI was something that didn't have to happen, Maurice Sr., okay? Luckily, nobody was hurt. But the way you and Kimmy were talking in circles at that kitchen table last season, it sounded like you had a problem, Maurice. A DUI is usually a byproduct of a drinking problem. Okay? I think it's rare that someone gets a DUI the first time they get behind the wheel and have alcohol consumption. Okay? And we know that varies state by state. But as a lawyer, I would hope you would know that too. And you and Kimmy leaving the same place and you were going in a different direction. She claimed she got gas, you did this, and you didn't come home till hours later. I want both of y'all to cut it the fuck out. Just stop. Tickets and DUIs, Maurice, because you seem to think you can talk to us like we're stupid. Okay, and you won't do that. Not for me. Not for anybody else who has sense. Tickets and DUIs can get dismissed. Sometimes because it was given to you wrongly, sure. Or just because sometimes the court is backed up, it's not worth getting into. They don't see the point in going through with it. Plenty of people go to court to get their parking tickets dismissed, not because they didn't deserve it, just because they don't want to pay into the system. And if I didn't work the way I worked, okay, I probably would too, but I don't have that kind of time Monday through Friday typically. I just had to pay a $278 ticket all because I turned right at red. Now, granted, that was from a couple of months ago, and it was a $278 ticket. I just paid it at the last minute because I didn't want it to go up, and I went ahead and pled guilty because I was. I know I did it, and that was one of those times where it was just best to keep my mouth shut because I almost said to the officer, it was the quickest ticket I had ever gotten. You know, normally they'll sit there for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes trying to give you a ticket because I had to stop myself. I was like, I do this all the time. What are you talking about? But in New York, it's illegal. Anyway, this cup holder is all right. Anyway, so Maurice, stop playing in our face, okay? And damn, then we get Monster getting up and walking out, you know, kind of like just, I was like, you couldn't say, wow, son, I'm really proud of you. Wow, I'm really excited to see where you end up. We don't hear any of that. And that's because you don't do it. Anyway, how did your son's excitement about college and focus become about you and making it about your case being dismissed? I know, because you made it about it. Then, in an even bigger effort to take over, he asked what else Kimmy was doing or did that day besides helping his son get into college. Okay. And she said she showed a 30,000 square foot commercial property or whatever. In a place like Huntsville, real estate really seems like a kind of market that you can corner if you're good at it, right? Like, because it's not a big town. It's not like Atlanta or New York or LA, or even someplace like Houston, like where people move to, or they had big hubs like NASA, like Delta, like the entertainment industry in LA, like New York, where everything just kind of culminates. Places like Huntsville, I don't care if people want to get my comments and say, oh, it's a growing, I'm sure it is, okay? But people don't move there regularly. It's the same people, generation after generation. Sometimes small towns are small because people want to keep it that way. Like they have the same mentality. They don't want it to grow. They don't want certain kinds of people. They'll vote, you know, go in the booth and say, we don't want this baseball team coming, this, that, and the other. Like those kind of places stay that way for a reason. You know, people I'm sure go to Alabama A&M and stay. All right. And then there are a lot of people that go back home. Anyway, I think that to say Kimmy should have kept her nursing job. The entrepreneur stuff, I think, is great for people who are good at it. I'm not saying that she's not, but it requires a great deal of sacrifice. And she has a husband who is in front of the camera, essentially trying to take credit for her accomplishments. And she was like, I've been known I could do it. By saying, see, I've been telling you, you could do this all along. Like, Maurice, what do you do? Okay, you don't have credit one anymore. You're not a certain kind of lawyer. And all of y'all claim to be connected to real estate. We have not we've seen Fletcher sell a house after he had to get Martell squatting ass out. But that's it. Every time y'all just always on a project. That's why Mel wasn't ever in that comeback group. She knew how lazy y'all were. So Kimmy is starting a restaurant called Jordan Lane. Is there somebody named Jordan? Her son's name isn't Jordan, though, right? Isn't it like Jalen? Anyway, Maurice said Marsau has a lot on his plate. Y'all, this is the same shit for 10 seasons, okay? Isn't that the story every season? Marsau can't finish a project to save his life, except for Black, who keeps getting all these violations, apparently, by Huntsville city government. Okay, I don't care about Scott Manor. At this point, it has surpassed Chateau Chare's level of underwhelming. Anyway, so Kimmy brings up that Tisha is stressed. I said stressed. About what? Wanda? No. She says because Fletcher threw him and Marsau under the bus about side chicks. Apparently, Fletcher was giving old school advice on how to deal with side chicks and NDAs and stuff in terms of cheating. I said, that sounds awfully familiar to what Mel said Martell told her when he was talking to older men about marriage and cheating. And she was like, you're just trying to cheat better. Then they show us this scene from last season, and I was like, is that what she's talking about? Like, the thing that annoys me about Kimmy and Tisha is that they go out of their way to bring up shit that we forgot about to try to clear the names of their husbands. And I don't see them working that hard to clear their own names with this stuff. I don't. I don't. Now, did he essentially throw them under the bus? Yes. Because we can tell Fletcher ain't. Yeah, we see why all of them are hanging around together. Anyway, Fletcher said something to the effect, that sounds more like something Maurice and Marsau would do. Okay. So she's mad at that scene from last season. I was like, girl, you should have said something at the reunion instead of bringing up that dumb rumor about Mel's butt job that nobody had ever heard of. At this point, who cares? Because so much of their stuff plays out on social media. So by the time you try to bring it up for this season, I'm just like, I would have forgotten. But no, here you come. All right. So you asking Maurice in front of the camera if he ever did it, if he ever did an NDA, will not absolve him of anything. He was like, no, I never had anybody sign an NDA. She was like, that's the wrong answer. You're supposed to say I never had a side chick. Kimmy, why are you always going out of your way to prove Maurice's innocence? I mean, seriously, he said some really wild things. Like first of all, the fact that you even felt pressured to keep him sexually satisfied as you were dealing with breast cancer and going through chemotherapy and having a mother that had endured that twice. I know it's tough. I know how sick people get. Even if you get treatment, I know how the surgery, how you can't do this for the rest of your life. You can't pull over 15 pounds. Like all of the things. And then for him to say, well, yeah, she did what she's supposed to do, even if she doesn't enjoy it. It sounds like marital rape. I don't think defending this shit is a good idea, just for the record. Okay? So then all of a sudden we get Destiny. And Destiny is one of those people who, and I do think Destiny is cute. But Destiny is also one of those people whose attitude can make her really ugly or pretty. You know, like some people you're like, oh, she's a bitch, but she's pretty. But like Destiny doesn't have that to me. Like her behavior just makes her ugly and you just start finding things wrong with her. Okay, at least for me. Anyway, Destiny is walking into an office to hug a Tina Knowles impersonator. I mean, at least if you do one of these, you're like, oh, she looks like Tina Knowles. And then you look, like, oh, no, never mind. Anyway. Okay, her name is Shonda Davis. Shonda Davis, ma'am, please don't let those cameras come up in your office again without bumping your hair at the end. Look, your hair didn't look done. Okay? And I'm not trying to say my hair always looks great, but the point is I am not on TV. Okay? On a popular show. I'm not saying my hair looks great every day, but if you're going to be on TV and be a broker, which is a business, and therefore what you appear as would draw people to actually go and see you or not, do better. Okay? Is it me or did Destiny have on the same outfit in the confessional last season? I'm not even trying to be funny because I'm not a fashionista like that. No tea, no shade. But I don't care if your money is tight. Granted, you live in America. Shit, all our money is tight. Okay, unless you were a millionaire or a billionaire. But be a bargain shopper. I'm a bargain shopper. I don't care how much money I have in my bank account. I am a bargain shopper. My mother taught me how to do that. You find quality clothes at clearance prices. Okay, but if you're gonna be on TV, I'm gonna need you not to be in that same cat suit. That's the point I'm getting at. All right, because Tisha's outfit is different. Kimmy's is different than last season, although Kimmy is much more put together when it comes to fashion than the both of them. But nevertheless, Destiny's been licensed in real estate for 19 years. And she said a lot of people don't know that. No, we don't, Destiny, because you were setting up, because every time we see you on TV, you're in like a beauty supply store and having a party for its opening, and then we just see empty shelves. And last season, you were setting up a business in a U-Haul storage queue. That's why we don't know. So see, if you would have opened your mouth, see, we'd know. Okay? And you can never keep a business open. All right? I just want to know one thing. Destiny, are you trying out for the Broadway play Cats? What the fuck does she have on? Anyway, then Martell's bald-headed looking ass came in, and he's in this tight ass trench coat as usual. And she was like, maybe Martell has listings for me, this, that, and the other. This has got to be the most resume credentialed people with no success that I've ever seen on a reality podcast. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. So he brings up Ariane, which we know is a play up for ratings, and says he's helping her get through nursing school. The nursing school she failed. The nursing school, when people first found out about her existence, tried to convince her she was a nurse. And then she went on that interview and basically said she never passed nursing school. Nursing school takes 2 years. 2. And nurses make good money. What do you mean you're trying to help her? And Destiny's like, oh, okay, investing in your woman. Do we know that's the case? Because we know Martell's idea of help can be just encouragement. Okay? It didn't say she needed money. It said she flunked out. Okay? I don't want her nowhere near me in the hospital. Why don't you call your homegirl, pick me Kimmy? She can help me because I believe Kimmy was a good nurse. Okay? Anyway, he says he's rebuilding his life. He's been rebuilding it for the past 4 years or so, and keeps blowing his life up to dust because he's so busy, not taking responsibility for anything. Was it me, or did Destiny seem bothered by him bringing up Ariane? Not like, I can't believe you're talking about this side chick, but like, I thought I was next, kind of bothered. Girl, you got to do better. You got to do better on the face. So he's bringing her up in hopes, I think, that he can get at Mel, and he's still trying to get at her through Ariane because he knows that's the one she knows about. Your son, side chick, is going to resent the way in which you have been out so publicly, being his father's whore. You'll always be a side chick to him, just so you know. Always. And Martell can't pass the test for a builder's license. She can't get out of nursing school. I'm sorry, that does not seem like 2 gene pools that should be combined. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Destiny brings up Lance and says Lance had a baby, and he posted his baby on social media and had texted her 10 minutes before with like a happy Thanksgiving. First of all, the way Nell was going up for her son and all in his business already told me he wasn't shit. He's been married twice. He is still young. You can tell, young. Okay, he's probably younger than me, and I'm 37. Anyway, so Martell continues to lie and says that's why he's glad he's not on social media and doesn't have a presence. And Destiny was like, wait, what? Yes, you do. You have, and you definitely are on social media. She brings up that whack-ass bootleg interview with another stripper-like chick from Vegas. And she talks about her and Marsau sleeping together. I'm going to be honest, I watched a little bit of it, but I couldn't because that side chick, honestly, that Martell has is such a fucking basic, retarded country bitch. I felt like I was losing brain cells. I can't. That wasn't worth my time. Anyway, so he said, well, I went through the same thing for years. And oh, well, essentially that it was Marsau's turn to go through it. The difference is you lied to everyone's face about having a side chick. The difference is Mel caught you. And Mel wasn't willing to tolerate it after trying to work through her marriage, and you continue to behave that way. Marsau has a chick that will put up with it. Too damn bad. I'm sorry you didn't marry somebody dumber. Go ahead, marry a side chick. She's dumb. She will stay with you forever and ever. Thinking, I'm the wife now, and it could be a cheap bubblegum machine ring. I can see her now. Anyway, the difference is you lied to everyone's face about having a side chick. Calling her a peasant on TV, which she is. And proceeded to act like Wesley Snipes in New Jack City. If I'm going down, all y'all going down, this, that, and the other. Sorry, you did not marry a dumb woman. That's what happened. Okay? But you brought out there quote unquote dirt. It has not led to divorce. They bragging about 19 years marriage. You bringing out their dirt sitting next to the bitch that you tried to tell us didn't really exist and wasn't about nothing to you. And who you still bang on the side was not the flex that you thought it was. And I just want you to stop, but you can't because you're a narcissist. You at least have those tendencies. I'm an armchair psychologist, clearly, but I'm just saying. Destiny tells him, look, you need to stop. It's going to pull you down. And I'm just sitting there thinking, no, this is where he lives. He lives in the gutter. He's not accomplished. He just wants to keep his wife, his ex-wife, from being accomplished. And it's not working. Pull him down past where? Mel was his come up. And in his jealousy, he was sitting up there trying to make it seem like I took you out the classroom. You were a special ed teacher too. I mean, not two, but teacher too. And you made it seem like there was so, and Mel called him out on that stuff multiple times. Now the best you can do is a chick who can't get out of nursing school because she keeps flunking. You don't have no money. And I can't imagine it's easy for her to go to work in a small town like Huntsville where all the foolishness going on. And without Mel's money, I guess she don't really have her car or house. Anyway. So, is it me? Because even as Destiny was talking to Martell, does everybody on this show stay giving advice that they wouldn't take on their best day? Everybody knows what to tell other people, but can nobody carry it out? Can nobody finish a house? Can nobody get their marriage together? Martell is broke and he is not, nobody would want him. Okay, no woman of class, value, sense. It shows because Mel left and she's been winning ever since. Her life in terms of winning got better in terms of what she was accumulating. I'm sure she went through hell, don't get me wrong, emotionally. And his life fell apart and he started looking like what he contributed, nothing. Okay, whether he starts shit with Marsau or not, he is an underachieving son of a bitch. I see why him and Destiny are friends. Moving on, Ken Lee is going to a family life center. And I was like, does that belong to a church? Why can't y'all just meet at the park like every other broke cast member does? Destiny and Martell, I'm surprised they didn't meet at the park this time. Instead, they met at Miss Shonda's office with being from her in, or at Nell's play place or whatever. Anyway, I actually like Ken. Ken wants to have man-to-man conversation markets, but I like him. I know people's like he has his mother issues and stuff. And I did see somebody's very insightful comment on TikTok, and I don't go on TikTok by name because one, it's connected to your phone number. I don't want to deal with colleagues or students from an overnight field trip where they met my number. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. Anyway, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, there was some insightful comment by somebody and they were pointing out, they were like, yeah, Ken's nice, but he's the kind who'll do a lot for you and then bring it up and throw it in your face. And I was like, we did see that last season. That's something I've been mulling over. I appreciate that person, whoever they are. Anyway, am I the only one that thinks it's a possibility that Trisha and Marquez have a lavender marriage? Because, I mean, they're still married. I'm just saying. It's okay if you disagree. I'm just curious. I'd be curious to find out what y'all think. Anyway, like they're each other's cover for something because they're still like attached. Anyway, Marquez is a bitch, okay? He's like Martell. He literally says one thing in your face, and then his actions and behavior in that same breath are showing the opposite. Okay, I can't. The Fletchers. Okay. Fletcher is home. He's doing work or at least playing on his computer like he is. Now, ma'am, just FYI, I'm just going to say this. You look so much younger when you do not have on all that heavy ass makeup on your face. You look worse with that makeup because I never found Nell to be pretty. Like when Marsau made that comment, like, "Oh, you're just pretty," right? I was like, "People think she's pretty." Anyway, all right, so Lance has a new baby girl, and apparently Chris Jr., the one who's been in conflict and trouble and stuff like that, he also has a new baby girl. So they have two granddaughters. She said, well, I just think Lance is exhausted and he's been struggling and coming in, I guess, to the business late. I was like, okay. And Chris Fletcher is like, well, Lance isn't new to it. This is like his second or third child. And I was like, Chris, for somebody that's been in your life most of his life, you should know whether he has two or three children. Okay, but y'all leave your daughter out, but you have her kids around and stuff like that. Don't think I forgot how y'all didn't invite that girl at their wedding. Or y'all should have told us why she wasn't there. Anyway, but he was like, Chris Jr. is actually really struggling his first time around. I can already tell by looking at Chris Jr. Chris Jr. ain't no good father. Struggling means the girl he had a baby with is actually asking him to help her. Okay, anyway, now your confessional look, it works. Stay with it. Don't start stuffing yourself in the dresses that don't fit like you and Stormy would do, okay? So despite Fletcher being old and fine, I don't mess with Fletcher, okay? No more. Because any man, since I saw Martell curse his wife out on their house steps, and I know he saw it too, hell, he could have rolled back their security footage and known. And then he called your wife a side chick to your face on TV for everybody to see over and over again, and you didn't see his ass for it. And by that, I mean fucking fight him. I don't give a shit about them cameras. I can never respect a man like that. You don't cover your wife enough for me. That is not a man to want. That is not a man, and I know you were probably young and everything now, but that is not the kind of man that should have your record sealed because you were fighting a bitch because he was messing with one, and it's only the one you caught him with, and that's the only one he's going to admit to. He ain't shit for that. Anyway, so Martell invites himself over to their house, and Chris, you didn't think it was important to tell Nell, your wife, and she hasn't had contact with him since she went off on him on the internet that this man was coming over? This is what I'm talking about. And Chris knew and didn't tell her until Martell was at the door. That's a problem. He shows up to her house, Nell's house, and is complaining about how Nell is in his ass as soon as he walks through the door. First of all, she didn't know. 2, it's her house. 3, if you don't like it, you should leave. Okay? Because I would have let that pit bull loose on him. I don't want no pit bull. I don't believe in them dogs. Them dogs shoot people up. But anyway, nevertheless, choose him about that photo that hit social media when she met Ariane at a polo event. And apparently, she thinks he masterminded it. Martell is cunning, like narcissist cunning, but narcissists really aren't smart. They are just calculated and create chaos. And I know some people think that's smart. It's not really smart. A lot of narcissists are just dumb. That's why you can see through it. And that's why so many people, I think, shirk it off for so long. Like, fuck them, you know. And then they just get to a point where they're out of control. Anyway, is it me or were they shooting season 10 while we were watching season 9? Because I feel like we've seen all this stuff in one form or another play out already. Because a lot of this stuff plays out on social media anyway. Y'all remember back in reality TV shows, they couldn't talk about it until it aired? Long gone are those days. Anyway, she said she went live in her natural hair, saying Martell set her up. Well, first of all, now, that was your fault. Okay? And I'm just saying, you didn't have to get on live like that if you didn't want to. I mean, she didn't look bad, but I'm just saying, let's not get carried away. All right? And honestly, he probably did set it up to make it look like that way, because you know all of his attention goes around destroying Mel. Anyway, and I feel like she was more mad probably because she didn't want to hurt Mel or appear to be friendly with his whore. And so she was very upset about that. Because in a natural instance, even if you don't like her, I mean, I have seen people be wildly disrespectful to me without me even knowing. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a room or gone to a restaurant or been invited to an event and the immediate reaction is by other women. It's not a good feeling. And the thing is, whether even if I like somebody, and I don't even think like that. My instinct still would be to be, hi, how are you? Despite whether I liked you or not. Because it's just, to me, it's improper. So I never felt like that was a thing with Nell, but I think Nell was afraid of Mel being mad at her. Anyway, so Fletcher woke his wife up to tell her that this had gone viral, this picture or whatever. And Martell, the one time in his life he may have been right, he was like, Fletcher, with your messy ass, you're supposed to protect her from that. And you putting her in it. He was like, oh, I mean, she would be mad if I didn't tell her. No, you are a messy bitch. You didn't have to wake her up. You couldn't wait until she woke up and was rested to tell her that. She got a phone. She got social media. She can do a live. Anyway, why do people try to talk to Martell and ask him reasonable questions as if he is not a perpetual and habitual liar? So Fletcher, in another messy bitch ass moment, brings up Tisha's interview. You know that one where she said that the word in college was that not Marsau. All these M names. Can y'all please get a new cast? What's his name? Martell like men. I had told y'all, I always thought Martell was sus. And I'm really being nice about it. And a lot of narcissistic men, in my observations and opinions, are DL. And that's why they find women with a lot going on and try to destroy them because they can't be honest with themselves. Anyway, so that's why he said he did an interview with one of Marsau's side chicks. Okay. Martell, he's a lady side chick, should I say. Martell, I thought that about you because I can read people. I thought that about you from the first season. As soon as I heard you talk, I said, is he gay? No one already knew the answer, but whatever. So he asked them, Martell, here you go. He asked them if Lance had a baby on Destiny. Yes, he did. He clearly did. And then that was like, that's a question you should ask Lance. So that's how you know it's true. Destiny has very bad luck with men, but she also doesn't seem serious with men because she's always talking about how she prefers to have men away from her. Her divorce that we've never gotten a true story from her about. I'm drinking cup water, so it's kind of like tequila's in it, but it's not strong. I feel the need to burp, so if it seems weird, I'm sorry. But she also doesn't seem serious. Her business acumen is a lot like her personal life. It just keeps flopping. Anyway, so then we get Ken and Trisha. I need to know, did Trisha have a surgery or an injury that makes her, and I'm asking, so put it in the comments if you know, that makes her mouth move like the Tin Man when he needed oil in the Wizard of Oz? Because if y'all know something happened to her, please let me know, because I don't want to talk about somebody if it's a disability. Otherwise, I'll just go in and wreak havoc because I already don't like her, okay? Ken is talking to her in the car about allowing growth. Okay, y'all know that's not going to happen. But anyway, that's a waste. They aren't divorced, and they live in this chaos and toxicity. She's okay with living it, Ken. Okay? And I know what it is to be a person that tries to help people and fix people. And I had to go to therapy and continue to work through that so I could be a better person. Because Ken, I think you're a nice guy, but I clearly see. Anyway, so Trish and her friend Sharon are talking. She comes over in her tortoise glasses or whatever. And Trish said everything was peaceful in her life with Marquez out of the picture. I was like, well, how long he been out of the picture? It couldn't have been that long. He was in the union. Anyway, and Trish says people don't really notice his stuff until the chaos, or notice the chaos until she blows up and gets angry. And the friend was like, she said it as I was thinking it, like, no, I think people see the chaos. And I was like, yeah. And both of y'all are equally responsible. We saw y'all at that cookout. That cookout was selling. Anyway, or the graduation party that y'all ruined. So Marquez just walked into Trisha's home. Okay? Without knocking. He says he's dropping his daughter off. Trish said, oh, he can't just walk in my house. I said, well, what the fuck? Why is your door unlocked? Okay, now we all know, I don't know if we all know, the people down south, certainly my family and other people's family, and any black household, like, when people come through your front door, they're not supposed to come through your front door. It has to be on a very special occasion for people to walk through your front door and not your side door, okay? So the fact that he walked in the front door, that's what I would have first addressed him on. And two, lock your door. Damn, are things that safe? Anyway, so I think it's also because I grew up down south with a mother who was from Jersey. And so I was always kind of, a lot of the instincts I had to protect, like my home, my car, really came from the things she was teaching us that I actually didn't see until I actually left, or moved deeper in Southwest Atlanta when I was a Spelman in LA and that kind of thing. Anyway, so the friend introduces herself, and she was a little heavy in the voice when she introduced herself to Marquez. I will say that, okay? But the fact that he was doing that Ray J shit, like that, keeping his voice low while antagonizing Sharon and Trish, because they like to do that with women. I think that is a mental disorder. Okay, once again, I'm an armchair psychologist. I don't know, but I'm just saying, it has to be. He always manages to get into it with people really tough, and then doesn't raise his voice. So he actually works on the appearance of it, but you're not fooling any of us. Anyway, he said he only came to drop his daughter off. Was it me, or I never saw this little girl? So where did you drop her off at? The side door, and then you came in through the front one? Carlos, get it together. Anyway, he said he only came, dropped his daughter off, and then his son walks in. He was like, God sent him to me. Huh? Something is wrong. Something is really wrong. His son is expecting, their son is expecting the arguments. And I feel bad for the kids, especially son. This is the one going to school, right? Going to college, I mean. Because the son is being pulled in multiple directions. Tell him, Xavier. Yeah, tell your mother. You know what I mean? And he always has to act like the adult, like Dad, go outside. Dad, go outside. And part of that is he sees stuff that we haven't seen. But he's only like 18. You know what I mean? Like, Trish, get the divorce. Oh, he contested it. But still, for years, you've been living with kids. Y'all are toxic and y'all enjoy it. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Love and Marriage Huntsville season 10 episode 1. They done had more seasons, child, than houses built. Anyway, I'll see y'all soon. Bye.